All right, let's talk about the World Economic Forum. A few months ago here on the show, we you guys remember this? We did a live Google search for climate change here on the show because we wanted to see the Google results on climate change. And it was very odd because all of the results seemed to come either from the World Economic Forum's website or from the United Nations. It's almost as if Google was stacking the deck somehow. Well, if you wanted to find alternative data or other research that showed that hurricanes, for instance, are not getting stronger, that CO2 levels are not rising so dramatically that it will wipe us off the face of the earth, that fossil fuels actually aren't all that bad, in fact, have led to a massive decrease in poverty worldwide, and power nations around the world, including in sub-Saharan Africa, where they don't have access to solar panels and wind, and for whom their hospitals would collapse if they didn't have diesel fuel to power their generators. Can't find that data. Can't find those articles. It's almost like you couldn't find it on Google at all. Well, now we know why. The World Economic Forum just held a Tackling Disinformation panel, and the United Nations Global Communications Director from the World Economic Forum just explained why we get certain skewed Google results. Listen to this UN lackey.
We partnered with Google, for example. If you Google climate change, you will, at the top of your search, you will get all kinds of UN resources. We started this partnership when we were shocked to see that when we Googled climate change, we were getting incredibly distorted information right at the top. So we're becoming much more proactive. We own the science, and we think that the world, should know it, and the platforms themselves also do. But again, it's a huge challenge that I think all sectors of society need to be very active in.
Thank you so much for owning the science, and thank you so much for partnering with Google to suppress other scientific research. Thank you so much. Can you believe that came out of her mouth?
Science. Yeah, I own the science on this Iron Man here, you guys. So nobody else, no further research. No, it can't do anything better than it does. It's going to stay exactly as it is because I own the science on this. So no progression.
This coffee that I'm drinking will reverse aging. It'll be like Benjamin Button. I'm telling you,
trademark 2022.
I own the science on this. Don't need to Google it. Don't need to find alternative sources of information. I own the science on this. That's why I look so damn good. Can we play that again, Philip? I can't. When I saw this, I nearly fell out of my chair. See if we can play this again.
We partnered with Google, for example. If you Google climate change, you will, at the top of your search, you will get all kinds of UN resources. We started this partnership when we were shocked to see that when we Googled climate change, we were getting incredibly distorted information right at the top. So we're becoming much more proactive. We own the science, and we think that the world should know it, and the platforms themselves also do. But again, it's a huge challenge that I think all sectors of society need to be very active in.
So we own the science. When people see, this is the kind of stuff we cover here on the show, and when we talk about the World Economic Forum is running everything, and they've literally partnered with Google so that this stuff gets suppressed. I mean, they have that power, right? That's who's running the show. When you have BlackRock and you have Vanguard and you have all of these these globalists running the show, you're called a conspiracy theorist. Like if you tell your family over Thanksgiving in the United States that, look up that climate change. Oh, there's Uncle Bob talking again. Uncle Bob is talking about how hurricanes aren't getting stronger. Didn't you just see what happened in Florida? Yeah, well, actually, they're not getting stronger. In fact, the strength of hurricanes has plummeted over the past since the 1960s, and the frequency is less. I Googled that. Oh, really? Where'd you get those results? It was on that World Economic Forum website.
Well, look at how many people have lost their platform, been marginalized, been told they're conspiracy nuts for saying that Google is changing search results. Like we've been suspended for saying things like that. I mean,
Right. But here she is admitting
it just blows my mind
that we've
out
partnered
loud.
with Google. We've gotten them now to suppress other climate-related stories and sources. Again, read Fossil Future by Alex Epstein. The book will change and blow your mind.
And that's just one organization. Now take that and put it in for the CDC, for the WHO, for the FDA, for all of these government agencies. You know they all have deals. If
Oh
they
my God.
will make one deal, then they're going to make all the deals.
Yeah, we did that on our show. We actually did another Google Live search result for World Health Organization, and we couldn't find any. It was literally like page 5 before we found one article, or like page 3 or 4 or something, where we found one sort of negative World Health Organization article. Can you believe this crap? I can. So that's the UN Secretary for Global Communications says that they own the science on climate change, and opposing viewpoints have now been pushed down in search results through their partnership with Google. Also, as part of this same, whatever Google bootlicking event, Claire Wardle from Brown University, who, in fairness, I've watched I watched this whole hour long, so you don't have to. This whole impact meeting on tackling disinformation. And she makes some good points. And she actually says some things that are somewhat favorable to what the internet has provided to all of us. She holds up her phone at one point and she says, this has been powerful, that it gives voice to people. But then she goes to the point of saying, but then it's too much. By allowing people to say whatever they want, I know it's legal that you can say the things that are on your mind, but I know it's legal. I know you have the First Amendment and all, but really, we should probably look into this. She's more worried about good speech. It's something we need to be worried about. Listen.
What's your view on the unmitigated right to say whatever you please, wherever you please?
Yeah, I have to say there are many things about the First Amendment that are very, very special, but I do feel that it stops nuanced conversations about speech. And there's this idea of, well, it's a marketplace of ideas. More speech is good speech. But the truth is that algorithms are not unbiased. So it's not that every piece of speech is equally weighted. There are certain types of speech that tends to be more emotive and tends to be from certain people that gets more airspace. So my frustration is I wish we could talk more about harm when it comes to speech. So people say, well, misinformation, it's really legal speech. We know terrorist content, child sexual abuse imagery, we know what to do about that. That's illegal speech. But lots of these examples, Claire, well, that's legal speech. And I keep saying, but it might be legal, but if it's leading to harm, can't we actually have a conversation about that? And I think...
Oh, yeah. And by the way, I love how she points out the algorithm and how the algorithm favors certain things. It doesn't. Yeah. We just learned earlier in your talk that they're basically, forcing the results a certain way. But I love this idea that, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and also harm is now subjective, because some people see if they hear a bad idea, you're harming them. It's a microaggression. So it's like you have to change the definition of harm in the first place, because reading things is not harming you.
Right.
It could lead to you harming someone for sure, but we're going to trust the government to decide what information that is.
Right. Like I read Mein Kampf. I was a history major, right? And so I read Mein Kampf in college, right? I love my 3 children. I don't have a violent bone in my body. And so reading that book gave me insight into Adolf Hitler, right? It didn't make me then. And then, by the way, so I need to hide information from people. I need to ban books. I need to suppress data. I need to suppress search results. I need to hide other alternative forms of information. We had a meeting today with our team, and I said, I think knowledge is power. Whatever information we can provide, give as much out there as possible. Put it out there so that people can make their own determinations based on the data, based on the research. Hiding it, what Philip said earlier, it just begs the question. It proves the point of conspiracy then, right? You're hiding this for a reason. Why are you hiding it? What do you hope to gain from hiding this information? If you're the World Economic Forum, you of course want to reduce the amount of people on Earth. You want to get rid of fossil fuels. You want to get rid of people eating meat. And you want to push one of the greatest scams of all time, which is like these Beyond Meat burgers that are just filled with garbage, filled with fake and all sorts of processed chemicals and all of this stuff. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to take away farms, and we're going to, tell you that what you're doing is bad. And we're going to do that with the help of Google. So I guess seek out other forms of search result material like Brave browser what search engines can we use today? DuckDuckGo was compromised, right? DuckDuckGo was blocking stuff as it relates to Ukraine, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And they admitted it.
And they admitted it. Google, we know what Google is. So what do you?
People say to use Brave browser, but like,
but is that a search engine?
No, and that's the thing. Like, I don't know of a search engine because every search engine is usually an API of Google because nobody else is hosting their own search of the entire internet.
Right.
So you're taking Google's results and you're somehow manipulating them in a way to try to not block things. But if the core of it is blocked, then it doesn't matter what you do through an API or through any kind of technology. You're going to have skewed results. I don't see how anybody could use the Google API and not have skewed results.
People saying they do search on Brave. Yeah, DuckDuckGo is compromised. DuckDuckGo is they came out and said what they were doing. But
again, even with Brave and those browsers, people don't understand. Like, Google is the one that made the network of having every website indexed. Brave doesn't have their own index of every website because you understand the number of servers Google has to have to host all that.
Right.
It's insane. So even Brave is using Google servers for their search results.
So is Yandex? Yandex is Russian, right? I don't know if Yandex is or not. The thing is, though, this is why it takes so long. Like when I'm preparing for this show, like the amount of rabbit holes and research that I have to dig through, because you can't just rely on anything from Google. Like I have to dig through, all sorts of PDFs and data. And this is maybe why libraries are still, become so valuable, right? Getting access to actual books and texts and pulling up actual research materials from studies that are suppressed. We saw through COVID how many studies were blocked and suppressed online that we couldn't get access to. Glenn Greenwald would try to tweet out PDF actual results for things from the Buffalo shooter. His manifesto that was blocked and suppressed. It's like trying to just get information these days is incredibly difficult. So, be brave, I guess. You can't rely on Wikipedia, which is a joke. It's owned by billionaires. So Wikipedia is like one of the largest, one of the worst purveyors of misinformation. So, yeah, it's my thoughts on that.